Hey there, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions. I'm in a car for another new comic book day. I'm headed down to Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland. You guys know that this is my regular new comic book day comic book shop. They buy so many comic books that they're able to get a lot of different variants as well as ratios if you're into that kind of thing. And I also belong to their Wednesday Warrior Elite Club, which allows members to, if they're one of the first 5 people in, to get a free certified cool book of the week. And usually that cool book is definitely one of the ones that's on my wish list anyway. So nothing like a free comic book when I go down there. So that's definitely a nice little incentive. Plus I get a free episode out of this, right? So I'm going to go down. I'm going to shoot some footage of the new comic books. I am not going to shoot any of the store. Hopefully you guys will watch the episode I just put out where I did a walkthrough through Third Eye Comics in their flagship station, their main hub down in Annapolis, Maryland. They've got a lot of different locations. You can check out their website from the link in the description below, but you can find out all their different locations. I've been to several of them, but none of them have been as big as this one is down in Annapolis. And hopefully you guys have watched that video and get an idea of what kind of shop this is like. It is a lot of different things. Mostly it's got tons of new comic books though. And I go down there again to pick up some of the variants that I may have failed to pre-order on my pre-order list. Now, also, you guys know that if you follow the channel, you know I pre-order most of my new comic books from M&M Comics. I do this 2 to 3 months in advance so I can get these 35 to 50% discounts off the cover price. And about 2 months ago or so, I failed to put in the order. I completely whiffed on it. I completely forgot about it. And I've spent the last month in May and the beginning of June here making up for it by going to New Comic Book Day anyway. But I've been having to pick up a lot more new comic books than I normally do from these days because, again, I failed to pre-order. Luckily, in the next month's pre-order, they had resolicited a lot of the previous month's books, so I was able to still pre-order a lot of those and get the same discount, thankfully. But we're finally to that point where there's no books on that pre-order list that I failed to order today. Today, it's going to be about picking up some additional copies of some books. I think we've got the Ultimates #1, the new series coming out. There's a lot of different covers that I think there's one that I failed to pre-order. I definitely want to get that. I want to get another copy of issue #1 as well. And there's a few other books I want to pick up, but they're mostly just variants of some of the things that I didn't already order. So we're going to go down. I'll shoot some footage, like I said, and we'll come back and I'll show off all the books that I pick up today. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back. everybody. I just finished up at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland, and I'm headed home. Had a great time at Third Eye Comics like I normally do. This new comic book day, luckily, I didn't have a lot that I really needed. There were some variants and some extra copies I wanted to pick up, but luckily, I'm past the point of missing comics from my pre-order like I was talking about earlier in the video. There was nothing on that list that I missed in a pre-order. I was able to get everything on the pre-order, and there was a few things I wanted to pick up in addition to that. And that's what a typical new comic book day is for me. Come down, pick up some of the variant covers that I didn't pick up, maybe pick up additional copies, and occasionally there may be something I completely missed that I didn't pre-order to begin with, that wasn't on my radar at that time 2 or 3 months ago. So today is sort of a little bit of all of that rolled into one. But so it wasn't a big day in terms of number of comics, but it was a big day in terms of the crowd coming out. There were a lot of the big Skottie Young variant covers coming out this week, including, I think, the X-Men 700. You've got the Spider-Man 51 covers. I think there was a Venom cover. I think last week we had the Wolverine cover came out. So, but this week it's starting to really hit with the Skottie Young covers. That was pretty cool. And there are some other things as well. So there definitely was a big crowd trying to get some really good copies in there today. But once I get home, I'll bag and board everything I've got. I'll sit down and I'll show off everything I got to you. But so just give me a few minutes and I'll be right back.
5 minutes later.
All right, everybody, I made it back home. I bagged and boarded all the new comics that I picked up. This was a big new comic book day. If you're a Skottie Young fan, you probably couldn't get enough of all the new covers that were coming out, and it's just getting started really in earnest this week. There were tons of those covers. Now, I had pre-ordered all of the covers that I wanted from Skottie Young. Not all of them appealed to me, so I was able to pre-order those. Luckily, I did pre-order those. Unlike what I was talking about earlier in the video where I had failed to put in a pre-order a couple months ago, and I'd been using the month of May and the beginning of June to catch up on all the books that I had missed pre-ordering. I'm over that now. Like I said, when I was on the drive home here, I did not have any books this week that I did not already pre-order. The only books in this stack right here are books that I wanted to get additional copies of, or there were some variants that I wanted to pick up, or maybe there were a few things in here that I just failed to pre-order just because they weren't on my radar at the time. So let's just get into it right here. I'll show you the big book for me for this week, and I'd already pre-ordered this, but I wanted to get an additional copy of it. Was Ultimates #1. As you guys might know, the Avengers was always my favorite comic book. It still really is overall over my lifetime. And I was a huge fan, I still am, of the original Ultimates run, the first 2 series by Mark Millar and Brian Hitch. And this right here, I wanted to see definitely what happened in this. I sat down, I read this immediately. I'm not as big a fan of the art in this, but I'm curious to see where this storyline is going. I have been enjoying most of these new Ultimates, especially Spider-Man. I did enjoy this. Definitely a lot more than I have enjoyed the Black Panther or definitely even the X-Men book. But I picked this up because I wanted an additional copy of it. I wanted to have a reader copy, definitely. But I also picked up a variant of that, and that is the John Tyler Christopher negative space cover of Iron Lad. I guess he's Iron Lad in this, or Iron Man. I'm not sure. I can't recall right off. But there were a lot of other variant covers that were really cool, and I had already pre-ordered every one that I wanted. They did have some ratios at Third Eye that you might have seen in some of those footage that I shot. This right here was one that I didn't pre-order at the time, but the other ones, for the most part, I did. The ratios I did not pre-order, and there's nothing really jumped out at me like I needed that. So I passed on all the other, the high ratios and everything. But there were some other things I picked up. My regular issue of Spider-Man #51. Now, this right here is the regular cover, and this is in my pull box. It's one of the few books that are in my pull box at Third Eye. And when I did the pre-order with M&M Comics, I pre-ordered the Spider-Man Skottie Young variant for this, knowing that I'd had the regular cover at Third Eye already pre-ordered. So I do have that Spider-Man Scotty Young coming in my one of my M&M orders. This will probably not even get in here until it may not even make it in the June order that'll be coming in. My guess is if it gets cut off, it may even fall into the July one. I'm not really worried about that. These books are going to go into the PC. I'm not worried about signings or anything like that. But what did I said I was going to drop it after 50, but the storyline is intriguing just enough for me to keep going. So I guess I'm keep going on this. One of the things that I talked about at Third Eye, and I mentioned it probably about every video at this point when I talk about Third Eye, is being part of this Wednesday Warrior Elite Club. And this was an elite club of 300 people that got the privilege of joining this club. And there's all kinds of different benefits that I've gone over in previous videos about this. But the main thing for me was always getting into the VIP lines at the signings. That's the thing. I don't have to pay for that privilege anymore. I've already paid for it with this club membership. But one of the other things is every new comic book day, if you're one of the first 5 people in and present your club membership coin that they gave you, and let them know, of course, you got to let them know, you get one of the certified cool books of the week. And they had 2 different books this week. Ultimates #1 that you just saw was one of them, but the other one was this here. It is the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha book that just came out. I don't know much about this, but I wanted to go ahead and get this because it wasn't on my list. So I thought, okay, let's go ahead and do something different. Normally, I'm not a big Turtles fan, but I'll pick some of these up occasionally, especially #1 issues. All right, another book that I didn't pre-order because it wasn't on my radar at the time, but it has since started to pop up into some other YouTube videos that it could be pretty good. And when I saw the cover to this, I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. It has that little bit of that Star Wars feel to it, but it's definitely a little bit different. It is Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. And what a great title. Don't know much about this. This is from Image Comics. So I'm going to sit down and read this and see if this is any good. I've heard some good things about it so far. Now, I wasn't going to pick up any of the X-Men books unless there was a really good cover. I kind of dropped it. Now, when the new X-Men show up, with the new series start, I did pre-order those. So I'm going to start off fresh again with the X-Men again and see if there's anything to latch on to. But as the old X-Men kind of finish up, I kind of dropped everything except for an occasional title. Now, the issue number 700, I think it's issue number 35 technically, but the Legacy 700, they had some great covers. You saw it in the footage. All of those that I wanted were pre-ordered, so I passed on picking up additional copies of that. But Wolverine #1 for Blood Hunt was out, and I'd pre-ordered, I think they had a Scotty Young cover on this that I had already pre-ordered. But I wasn't going to get the regular issue. I didn't care enough to get the regular issue, but when I found out Ben Harvey did the artwork for this, I went ahead and got that. I did that. It was completely a cover buy. I wouldn't have got an additional copy of this if it wasn't for that right there. Ben Harvey is an artist that has been doing some just fantastic Marvel covers lately. He did the X-Men 97 issue with the Rogue on the cover, flying in front of the Blackbird. And he did, I think it was Fall House X, that beautiful Unknown Comics variant where it's him and Rogue and Gambit together. It's to me, it has a very Norman Rockwell feel to it. But that was the only reason I picked this up. I'm not interested enough in the Bloodline storyline. There's so many different titles that are coming out that I'm not picking up all the additional copies of everything to see what's going on. To me, that was strictly a cover buy. Much like this was right here. Space Ghost #2. They got some great covers for Space Ghost, but I had to get the Michael Cho variant right here. This right here is spectacular. On the list was also the Virgin variant of this, and I think it's a foil Virgin variant. And Third Eye did have that. It wasn't that expensive, but I started to think about it. Michael Cho is a good signer. I see him occasionally. I know he's at at Heroes Con this year. In the past, he has signed for free. He sells these prints, but he signs for free. And this would have been a great book. That Virgin variant, if I'd gotten that, is that something I really wanted to get signed? There's something really cool about the trade dress on the Space Ghost. The art's fantastic, don't get me wrong. But you take that off of this, and it's just, I don't know. There's times when the Virgin variants are fantastic, but there's times when I think the trade dress really pulls it all together. And in this case, I think it pulls it all together. That trade dress is so symbolic of Space Ghost. I think everybody recognizes it and works so well on this cover. So I picked that up. And speaking of cover buys, Vampirella Dark Reflections #1. This is not a book that I normally would have picked up, but you've got a great Jenny Frison cover. Again, another cover buy right there. But those were all of the new comic books from this particular week that I picked up. There were a ton of great things. Luckily, as I said earlier, I'd pre-ordered them with M&M Comics, so I'll be getting those in the next month. Probably either in the next shipment here in June or the next shipment after that, the one in July. I'm not in a hurry for anything, so it's not a big deal. But I did pick up one additional book, and this was on a new comic book day. It was one of the ones that I missed in that pre-order, as I was talking about, from several weeks ago. And I knew I'd get around to just picking it up, but I wanted to pick up Our Army at War #81, the facsimile. And this right here, I don't think they come out and actually call him Sergeant Rock, but this is I guess the first appearance of Sergeant Rock, or at least what they're calling it. It is the Rock of Easy Company. I don't think technically they don't call him Sergeant Rock in this, but it is the first appearance of that, or Easy Company. I guess that's what it is. But I want to go ahead and pick up this facsimile. You guys know how much I love my facsimiles, especially first appearances and things like that. But guys, that is it. That is everything I picked up for New Comic Book Day. I hope you enjoyed this video. It is a slice of life of how I collect. If I didn't do those pre-orders that I've been talking about constantly in this video, this would have been a huge New Comic Book Day. There was so much stuff out on the stand. Variants, new copies, Scotty Young. I mean, it was all there this week. It was a big crowd at Third Eye, and it was a little tough to get in there and film things as well. So I probably didn't shoot as much as I normally do, but I tried to be pretty quick about it and get the footage I needed and get out, basically. But I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of all the new books, and let me know what you picked up for this particular New Comic Book Day. And if you guys enjoy this kind of content, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the shows that I put out each and every week, Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. All right, guys, I'm out of here. You all have a great day, and I will see you for the next show. Just remember, every comic has a story.